If you are planning a conference for women or you're leading events within your organization for women groups, I have some tips for you. So I go to conferences all the time because I'm speaking there and I'm always curious about what the other speakers are saying and the information that they're sharing. And there's a certain pattern that happens every single conference where we get the speakers that are talking about the statistics of how there is not enough women on boards, women not making as much money as men, which is the wage gap, and a lot of the same issues, the same statistics that we're hearing over and over and over. And I usually look around the room to just look at the impression of the audience, and automatically the energy goes down when these statistics are mentioned. So I get that the statistics are, we need to know about them. We read around about them all the time, but the challenge is we're overusing them. And if we are sticking to the past, to the statistics of the past, we're not going to be able to move forward. So my first tip is make sure that the speakers, if they are using these statistics, that they're not spending tons of time on them, because it is very discouraging, especially for the younger generation of women that are just get so overwhelmed of the environment they get in. Instead, make it inspiring for them by talking about various successful women and what they have achieved, and also talking about great examples, role models for them to follow. So this is tip number one: less statistics and more inspiration. Tip number two is stories. What I realize in a lot of the conferences, we hear about the 10 tips that women need to do in business in order to advance. And it gets so boring, and it's the same 10 tips over and over and over again. Instead of listing the tips, have the speaker share them in stories, talk about stories that they have lived in their life and how these experiences help them to advance, help them to believe in themselves, which is so important. Now, the number three is ask the speakers to give a new perspective. So instead of sharing the same messages over and over, have the speakers explain when they are sitting in a boardroom, how does it look like if they had a challenge with a man or a woman as they are negotiating or as they are doing something important. How did it feel like? What did they do? What did they observe? Giving a whole new perspective of helping the audience see things in a different way. Learn from these experiences, which are very, very important, because not most people, not most women will be in a boardroom. Not a lot of women will be or currently are in executive role. But if you having the speaker describe how it is like, what do they see, how do they feel, it is bringing these women, bringing the audience into the boardroom, into the executive suite, and helping them see a vision to help them want to get there. So these are three tips, again, as you are planning a conference, to make your conference, to make your women event very different. Look into those. Avoid all of these constant repeating of the statistics. Even if you're mentioning them, make it extremely inspirational. Bring stories, and also, of course, help people see things in a whole different perspective. Help them see it so they would want to be part of it, and that would increase the energy in the room, and that's when we're empowering the audience.